Hello everyone, welcome to the Hindu analysis for 12th February 2021. Let us begin with the first article today. Coordinated disengagement at Pangong Rajnath Hills, Rajya Sabha. So, as we are well aware that both Chinese governments and the Indian government had reached an agreement for an staggered and an diplomatic disengagement of its troops from Ladakh Pangong Lake area. So, this is what the statement was made by Rajnath Singh, that is our defense minister in Rajya Sabha today, that is yesterday, in regards to how the disengagement process is going and how did they reach this decision. So India and China has reached an agreement on disengagement in the Pangong Lake area to cease their forward deployments in a phased, coordinated and verified manner, and it would substantially restore the situation to that existing to the prior commencement of standoff last year. So the standoff started at the end of April 2020. Since then, both sides placed or deployed their troops at high altitudes in Ladakh in an eyeball to eyeball situation, meaning the distance between PLA soldiers and Indian soldiers was less than 70 meters at certain places, meaning PLA tanks were pointing their barrels at Indian troops and Indian tanks were pointing their barrels at the PLA troops, that is Chinese troops. Accordingly, we got news that both sides agreed for a staggered disengagement, meaning both will remove or redeploy their troops from those high altitudes to lower regions or lower altitudes well beyond LAC or the perception of their respective LACs, and both sides will be able to verify their disengagement steps or decisions. So the commencement of disengagement has taken place, and the consensus is that they are going to pull back their troops to a place where they were earlier stationed at the beginning of this standoff, that is wherever they were stationed at the beginning of the April 2020, they are going back to their respective places. The Chinese side will keep its troop presence in the North Bank area to east of Finger 8. Reciprocally, the Indian troops will be based at their permanent base at Dhan Singh Tapa post near Finger 3. A similar action would be taken in the South Bank areas by both sides. So the perception was that China will pull back to Finger 8 in the lake area and India will move back to its permanent base that they have built in near Finger 3. This is going to take place at the south bank of the lake also, but till where they will be pulling back is yet to be ascertained here. So there are mutual and reciprocal steps, and any structures that have been built by both sides since April 2020 will be removed and the landforms restored. He said, that is Rajnath Singh, Mr. Defense Minister in Rajya Sabha, said that the mutual and reciprocal steps, meaning both sides will take steps simultaneously at the same time, and any structures that they have built to fortify their positions will be dismantled and original landform will be restored. Meaning whenever some army is fortifying their positions, they'll do two things. One, either they'll dig foxholes or trenches, and they'll build structures to reinforce their positions in the way of building brick walls or using rocks lying in the nearby area to build a parapet wall of height of about to your abdomen, so that they can take cover when the enemy is firing. Now Mr. Defense Minister has said that whatever the structures that both sides have built, they are going to be dismantled and the original landform will be restored. And again, and to add to this, they have also built tents to house the troops stationed there. So those tents are going to be dismantled also. Adding to that, further, both sides had agreed on a temporary moratorium on military activities in the North Bank, including patrolling in the traditional areas, till the entire disengagement process is done and further consensus is reached, meaning further talks are to be settled so that the rest of the area can be restored to its April 2020 situation. Till that time, both sides, meaning India and China, will not conduct patrolling activities, and we are going to be very careful as to how the future patrolling pattern will be decided, and that has to be agreed yet. Patrolling will be resumed only when both sides reached an agreement in diplomatic and military talks that would be held subsequently. We had a two dialogue strategy, meaning our government through its foreign office, that is Ministry of External Affairs, was conducting talks with their counterparts in Beijing. Along with it, our military establishment, that is commanders at local level, were also conducting simultaneous talks with their respective equiparts or counterparts in the People Liberation Army. So the government is saying that we are going to continue the strategy that we have adopted, that is two talks. One is through diplomatic channels by way of the government and Ministry of External Affairs, and two through the way of military commanders, which to this point of time seems to have worked so far. And he assured the House that the talks have not in the talks we have not conceded anything, meaning we did not lost a bit of territory in these talks. There were still some outstanding issues with regard to deployment and patrolling at some other points along the line of control in eastern Ladakh. These would be focus of further discussions with the Chinese side. The most contentious and most hard situation in LAC was in the Pangong lake area. Now the government is saying, since the deployment or disengagement of troops has taken place here, in future talks are going to take place for how future disengagements will look, and we are going to restore status quo ante in other parts of LAC where there is a standoff going on currently. There are multiple areas where PLA and Indian soldiers are facing an eyeball to eyeball situation. One such area is Pangong lake area, the most contentious area. Now the disengagement has taken place there. Now we are going to work on other areas where the same situation is continuing. Remind you, the situation is very much still fluid and developing, and it can slide either positively or negatively. Coming to the next article, CAA to follow vaccine drive, says Amit Shah. So Union Home Minister in a political rally in Kolkata has said that the CAA implementation of Citizenship Amendment Act CAA will proceed without any further delay after the current inoculation drive is completed. He is reasserting that the government did not abandon the NRC or CAA proposals or the bills that they had tabled in the parliament, and it is very much the intention of the government of India that is in power right now to continue their promise to the people that they are going to bring CAA to the public. Just due to the coronavirus pandemic and the post-inoculation or vaccination drive that has been taken up by the government, these things had been put on hold, and we have very much in interest to continue and complete the process of NRC and CAA by the end of next year. That is what the Home Ministry has promised in a public rally, indicating that the government hasn't lost its sight on how the implementation of CAA is going to take place, or whether the fear that has the government abandoned the entire CAA concept altogether. We have to wait and see how the entire vaccination drive will take. Post that, we are then only going to consider about NRC or CAA. First, our priority is vaccination of our population. That is what the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, has said. Coming to the next article, follow the law, social media platforms told. So, you are well aware that there is a tussle going on between the central government and Twitter company. Yesterday, Minister for Information Technology and Communications in a parliamentary reply to a parliamentary question said that global social media platforms were welcome to work and earn money in India, but they should follow the law and they must follow the law and the Constitution of India, reasserting the government's stance that any private player that intends to work in India or function in India must adhere to the laws of India and the Constitution of India. Nobody is above the law here. Even though you are a big company and you have so much money, you have to adhere to the laws formulated by the legislature of the country. The minister had flagged Twitter and called out the microblogging site for double standards, adding that freedom of speech was there, but Article 19(2) of Constitution added reasonable restrictions because of the sovereignty and integrity of India. Again reasserting the fact that Indian government has the right to request or ask or order any private company to take down or control the flow of information in the national interests of India and to protect its public order, because it has constitutional backing through Article 19(2) of right to freedom of speech. He also flagged that why Twitter is following a double standard when the similar situation that had taken place on Red Fort had taken place in Washington DC, where supporters of Mr. Trump tried to overtake the capital of America. So he said that when police act in Washington's Capitol Hill, ransacking a microblogging site stands in their support, but when a similar action is taken at Red Fort, our national pride, the platform, opposes it. Freedom of speech is there, but with reasonable restrictions. Remember, when the Washington insurrection has taken place in Washington DC, police has requested most of the social media platforms to either block or delete posts in related to the insurrection or the violence that had taken place that day. During that period, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and every other social media platform agreed with the police request. He is saying that there you have agreed with the same thing with the police there. Now, in regards to Red Fort violence, we have also asked the same thing to stop spreading of misinformation so that we can protect our population. Then why didn't you agree here today? Why the double standards is what being questioned here. As of today, the government is very much intent on bringing out laws to control social media platforms. That is what the intent of the minister seems to be here. He said that his ministry is planning certain regulations to control the flow of information through social media platforms and protect its political democratic processes. So Twitter is also very much aware and negotiations are going on, meaning that Twitter is very much well engaging with the government of India. But at the end of the day, the government is requesting the Twitter to follow rules set by the government of India, and it also established that it had no intent of banning Twitter. That is what most people have been calling for, the complete ban of Twitter, but the government is not in the process or in the intent of business of blocking social media sites. They are only asking that whenever we request you to block something in the interest of nation, all we ask is you to follow. Coming to the next article, tender cut. This is an editorial. This is pertaining to cryptocurrencies, which are in the mainstream media again in vernacular because of the recent developments that had taken place in the sector of cryptocurrencies in US and how India is reacting to the same here. And the government statement about bringing in a law on cryptocurrencies is welcome. Coming to the next article, tender cut. This editorial is in particular relation to cryptocurrencies. The cryptocurrencies are back in news and in popular conversations because the recent activities and recent major changes that had taken place in United States, in particularly relating to cryptocurrency technology and cryptocurrencies in general. Now coming to the stand of India or the government of India in relation to cryptocurrencies, how the government is going to act towards cryptocurrencies. The government statement about bringing in a law on cryptocurrencies is welcome, as it could put an end to the existing ambiguity over the legality of these currencies in India. There are no particular laws banning cryptocurrencies or trading of cryptocurrencies in India. And the government hasn't come out with any clear-cut regulations or rules pertaining to the trading or use or legality of cryptocurrencies in India. There is a lot of ambiguity and there is a lot of gray area going in regards to cryptocurrencies in India. The government has from time to time suggested that it does not consider them to be legal tender. Whenever the currency question rose regarding the legality of cryptocurrencies, the government has come out and categorically denied that they considered it to be a legal tender, but they didn't back it with any law or legislation. Now, in 2018, the RBI did send a circular to banks directing them not to provide services for those trading in cryptocurrencies. But in 2018, RBI tried to prevent trading of cryptocurrencies and send a circular to banks that you are not allowed to open trading terminals or provide exchange services in cryptocurrencies in Indian territory. But this was eventually set aside by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that RBI doesn't have the right to do or issue such orders to banks from preventing trading of cryptocurrencies. So that was a diplomatic win for cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency backers in India, where Supreme Court said that RBI doesn't have the power or the authority to ban cryptocurrencies, and said that the circular would be disproportionate given that central bank had consistently maintained the virtual currencies were not banned in India. The Supreme Court flagged or showed that you are saying that cryptocurrencies are not banned, all while trying to ban it. Why the double speak? So Supreme Court said that we are setting aside your 2018 order. Now coming to the current scenario. Cryptocurrencies exchanges which have sprung up are reportedly lobbying with the government to make sure these currencies are regulated rather than banned outright. There is a lot of money involved in cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency exchanges, where these exchanges act as a middleman from exchanging cryptocurrency into Indian currency or any other real world currency. Now these currency exchanges which have propped up in India in a lot of numbers are trying to lobby with the government to prevent it from banning cryptocurrencies outright. Now they are asking for a smart regulation, and they say that smart regulation is preferable, as a ban on something that is based on technology of distributed ledger cannot be implemented for all practical purposes. And the reality of this is a ban might not work entirely. Because even in China, when cryptocurrencies have been banned and the internet is controlled more than what it is being done in India, trading in cryptocurrencies has been low but not non-existent. This was not according to a statement that I am making or the backers of cryptocurrency are making. This was a statement made by an inter-ministerial committee that was formed by the government of India to study the entire cryptocurrency saga. Meaning they did an international study on cryptocurrencies and came out with saying that it is the best interest of India to allow cryptocurrencies, or at least use the underlying technology of cryptocurrencies rather than banning it outright, because it doesn't work. Look at the example of China. There the government is more in control of internet, more in control of banking sector, more in control of everything there. There only it did not work. Then how could you expect the same thing to, or the same ban strategy to work in India, where internet is not as much as strictly regulated as that of in China? Despite this and the fact that most countries it studied had opted for regulation, this committee still went ahead and recommended an outright ban. But at the end of the day, the committee had an overreaching statement where they said that despite we agree that it has best intentions, it is actually good for the country. We understand what is going on cryptocurrency and how it might be helpful, but we recommend a complete ban of cryptocurrency in India. So it encouragingly also batted for an official digital currency as well as for the promotion of underlying blockchain technology. Again, they said that yes, we agree cryptocurrencies, but we don't want foreign cryptocurrencies. Why don't you come up with our own Desi version of cryptocurrencies? And at least, as I said earlier, why don't you use the underlying technology like the blockchain technology in India for other services also? Why not only for cryptocurrencies? Here the government must resist the idea of ban and push for a smart regulation. It is up to the government to come out with a smart regulation to consider how it is going to engage with the future currency, that is cryptocurrencies, where most of the world has either tried to block cryptocurrencies and they have failed, and in other countries where they welcomed the cryptocurrencies and said that okay, we can try to block it, but it is not going to work out. Let us at least regulate how things are done in cryptocurrencies. The major fear with cryptocurrencies is majority of cryptocurrency is used to do illegal trade, illegal drugs, and most of online illegal activities, money laundering for example, is also done through cryptocurrencies. That is the major fear with governments, that once they start regulating it, they cannot track where payments are going, and it might fuel further instability in the market, or that might be used for some nefarious reasons by non-state actors. Coming to the next article, UPSC advertises for lateral entry into central administration. So the Union Public Service Commission has issued an advertisement to recruit 30 persons at the joint secretary and director level in the central administration through lateral entry. This is in second round to what has been done earlier. Earlier, 8 persons were added or selected for lateral entry in various departments and ministries. Though they advertised 30 positions there, only 8 were selected. Now they are again advertising for 30 positions, out of which 3 are for joint secretary and 20 are for director levels. So the agreement in this case, this is a good good aspect of lateral entry scheme, because most of the people who could not successfully get into services in their previous tries are now at the top of certain fields in their respective domains. This gives those people who are in very much interest of serving their country to serve their country at higher echelons of bureaucracy and services. So there are certain basic qualifications and requirements that have to be met, but in the initial stages or the first stage of lateral entry schemes in Indian government or Indian bureaucracy, this is a positive step. Now the entire joint secretary and director level secretary, there are hundreds and thousands of vacancies all over India, and through lateral entry we can get quality people and quantified people who are very much in interest of serving the nation without the need for other compulsancy or complacency. Let us come into the next article. Disabled entitled to facilities. So this is in a case where the Union Public Commission and the Department of Personnel and Training were ordered to allow a scribe to a disabled person. Initially, these two agencies did not allow a scribe to a person with disabilities due to on grounds that he did not qualify for a scribe or some other thing. The person who was suffering from a neurological condition approached the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has pointed out that disabled people are also entitled to facilities. Now they said that pointed out that both the Union UPSC and DOPT, by allowing a scribe, you are not allowing those with disabilities with any privilege. Meaning the person who is suffering with disabilities, just by the act of giving them a scribe, you are not providing any privileges. He is already underprivileged. All you are trying to do by providing a scribe is equalizing his chances or his ability. And it asks both the agencies to shed its fundamental fallacy that only persons with benchmark disability or disability of 40% or more should be accommodated with a scribe while taking competitive tests like civil services examination, and pointed out that this is a clear violation of the intent to provide reasonable accommodation for disabled persons and the Right to Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016. This can set a benchmark for all public service commissions and other examinations where most of the disabled people are unable to take the exam because they did not fit the specified disability quota. Meaning, though they are suffering from disabilities and people can verify or attribute to the fact that they are disabled, just because they did not fit into the criteria or the 40% disability criteria, they were denied scribes earlier. Now the Supreme Court has said that just because they did not fit into your fundamental fallacy, you cannot deny his right for a scribe or his ability to claim his disability. Now this will force a rethink or reshape of policy from public service commissions and central government altogether. Coming to the next article, in call with Xi, Biden talks of unfair economic practices. So US President Joe Biden spoke with his counterpart, that is Chinese President Xi Jinping. This is the first call between two leaders since Biden assumed office on January 20, and this comes after Biden, Mr. President of United States, talked or spoke with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where they both reasserted their commitment for a free Indo-Pacific. Let us look into this, how this call went. So from a readout from a White House said that Mr. Biden highlighted concerns about Beijing economic practices, its human rights record, and assertive actions in the region, while affirming his priority for preserving a free and open Indo-Pacific. See, the point of call was here the President Biden is asserting his three major agendas with China. Here, Mr. Biden is highlighting or asserting his three primary agendas for his administration. One is the human rights records. The second is how China is behaving with its neighbor. Three is free and open Indo-Pacific, how China is behaving in South China Sea. He said that his fundamental concerns about Beijing's coercive and unfair economic practices, crackdown on Hong Kong that is happening right now, and human rights abuses in Xinjiang, and increasingly assertive actions in the region, including towards Taiwan. China is playing up Taiwan's airspace like drums right now. Every day they are sending fighter aircrafts, long-range bombers into the airspace of Taiwan to test the preparedness of Taiwan. The moment they feel fit, they might invade Taiwan and try to force it back into the one China policy. He is saying we are looking at developments and we are very well aware of how China is behaving in these regions. Respectively, Mr. Xi, however, is reported to have said that Hong Kong, Taiwan and Xinjiang are matters of internal to China. The same old statement where he is saying that why are you worried about our internal matters, look at your own country. The Taiwan question and issues relating to Hong Kong, where the Hong Kong Citizenship Act and so many things are going on, Xinjiang where Uyghur Muslims are being prosecuted on a daily basis, are China's internal matter and concerns Chinese sovereignty and territorial integrity, and US side should respect China's core interests and act prudently. That is what Mr. Xi was reportedly have replied to the Biden's statement or in the phone call. Coming back to a little bit of history, where the Trump administration was very sharp and very critical of the Chinese government. Towards its end, it had criticized Beijing for its human rights abuse against the Chinese Uyghur Muslim minority and crackdowns in Hong Kong. But the new administration has to either toe the line of Mr. Trump's administration or has to come out with their own Chinese policy. But at the time being, for the moment, they are not going forward with a Trump administration ban on social media app TikTok and its US takeover by US company, according to reports. It seems that they are following some Trump administration plans and abandoning some. In the case of the TikTok, where the Trump administration forced a US company to take over it, now the Biden administration has seemed to let it go, meaning they are no longer pursuing the US takeover of TikTok. Coming to the next, the Biden administration hopes to build on Trump administration strengthening of Quad. But coming to the Quad, they are very much interested in the Quad, that is India, Australia, Japan and US working for a free and open Indo-Pacific. And finally, Mr. Xi told Mr. Biden that cooperation was the only right choice for US and China, who stands to lose from the confrontation. To end the call, Mr. Xi was reportedly have told Mr. Biden that you have to go for cooperation here, because once you go for confrontation with China, US is the only country that is going to lose with China. Though he is directly warning that if we are going for war, you are the country that is going to lose and we are going to win. Indirectly he is saying that both the countries will lose at the end of the day. This is a real kind of a threat or warning to Biden administration that don't poke into our matters. Thank you. Have a good day.